very fortunate to have Didi representing us. She's a wonderful library supporter and a supporter of women's rights and does a lot of things for us in Columbia and Dutchess counties. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Didi Barrett.
Good afternoon. I'm so glad to see all of you here, and I want to thank Thea and the whole Clobrook Free Library community, trustee members of the community, staff for hosting and being always so generous about letting the community use this really beautiful space that, as all, I think you probably all figured out who hadn't been here before, this is a former fire station, which is, you know, adaptive reuse and in just a really wonderful place that people have, you know, come to feel safe, to learn, to really enjoy and benefit. Libraries are the most democratic institution we have in our country, and we love supporting them and happy to always talk about them whenever possible and financially support them when we can with funding. So I want to also thank my team who is here today. I see Patricia and I see Rachel. Wave your hands, guys, and I see Chris and Matt, and where's Gunnar?
Right
here.
You
are sitting down. I was like expecting you to be in that back there. And this is an initiative, our Women's History Month, both booklet, which you see there on the table, but also these celebrations of life that we've been doing for, I think it's since 2014. That was the first one. And as you know, as Thea said, I am a great advocate for women and girls, and really committed to making sure that women's stories are always available, and that girls growing up today understand that this is what an elected official looks like. When I was growing up, they were almost, you know, 99% men. So I want those stories, and I want future generations to understand the difference that so many extraordinary women made throughout history in our region, and that really important things and really important people lived in the same communities that they live in. So this is kind of the thought behind our booklet. So every year during the month of March, we publish with the Mid-Hudson Library District a Women's History booklet, and it tells the story of 10 different women. Each booklet has 10 different women from either Dutchess or Columbia County. We try to do 5 and 5. Those are the two counties in my assembly district. And basically we start with, I would say, the 17th and 18th century when possible, and whenever we can find people, and continue to the 21st century. The criteria are that women who are no longer with us, so they've passed away, they've made a difference either locally, state, federal, national, international level. We happen to have a pretty remarkable district when you look at women's history here, the home of Eleanor Roosevelt, the Livingston family. Vassar College is in, these are all in my assembly district, and Vassar, interestingly, is the home of not only a lot of extraordinary women who attended school there, but a lot of professors who were the first in their field, botanists and astronomers, and they were the first professors teaching that. And there are also extraordinary women who changed lives just by the work that they do in the community. And Laurie is one of those women. So each year we also try to be able to celebrate the life of one of the women in our book, and bring together community members and friends and family to talk about her. So we are here, obviously, you all know, to celebrate Laurie Jean Rice Laurie Quinn. And I found out that Laurie, actually hadn't realized this before, grew up in Syracuse and has deep roots in central New York, but came here when, I guess in an internet rendezvous with Carl Quinn, found her way here to Columbia County. And from what I remember and what I have heard from friends about Laurie, is she truly is someone who felt that her passion and her calling in life was to help people struggling with substance use disorder and help them survive. And so let me tell you a little bit about Laurie, and then we will hear from family and friends, and then open the room up afterward to anyone who wasn't on our official program, but who would like to share a memory or a recollection or just a thought. So, Laurie was born on September 11th, interesting date, but in 1963 in Syracuse. After spending her early years in central New York, she moved to Chatham in 1998, where she built a rich life here rooted in family, community, and service. In 2000, Laurie married Carl Quinn, and together they began helping people with substance use and substance abuse. I don't know, I want to hear about whether having family in recovery, I know abuse and use are used interchangeably, but I want to hear what your thoughts on all of this are. Yeah? Abuse? Okay. Laurie's work included helping to establish Columbia County Pathways to Recovery, our wellness collective, and to train certified recovery peer advocates. For a number of years, she ran a Tuesday evening support group for families affected by their loved one's substance use. In addition, Laurie's community involvement included serving as District 7210 Secretary, as a Rotarian on numerous other district committees, and as President of the Northern Columbia County Rotary Club. Our first speaker today will be Stephanie Campbell, a colleague and friend of Laurie's. After receiving her master's degree from Columbia University, Stephanie worked as a journalist until she was hired by Powers, Crane and Company. Lobbying led her to the New York State Assembly, a good place to be, and the New York State Senate, where she honed her policy and legislative skills. While working for a former chair of the Senate Education Committee, Stephanie pursued her MS in adolescent education at the University of Albany to become a high school social studies teacher. After leaving for a few years, she went on to receive her MSW, CASAC, training at the New York University Silver School of Social Work. It was there that she began working at the macro level on a variety of legislative advocacy issues focused on addiction and recovery. Stephanie joined Friends of Recovery New York, which is for New York, FOR-New York, in 2015, and worked at the state and national levels to reduce stigma, to advocate for change in public policy, and to promote a culture of recovery. In 2018, Stephanie joined the Office of Addiction Supports and Services, OASIS, as the New York State Behavioral Health Ombudsman Director. Stephanie is also a grateful person in sustained recovery, a mother, a social justice advocate, a policy worker, and an adventurer. My pleasure to introduce Stephanie Campbell.
Wow. Thank you, Assemblywoman. Thank you for being a champion of recovery, among other things. I just want to take a moment to breathe. And, I wrote something. I always do this. It's kind of like a security blanket to have. And then I get up and I'm like, I speak from here.
Can you hold the microphone a little closer?
I can. Is that better? So all the things that were just read, and thank you, Assemblywoman, for that beautiful introduction. The most important thing for me is my name is Stephanie, also known as Sesame, for those of you who know me as Sesame Campbell. That's how Laurie knew me. And I'm a person in long-term recovery. And what that means for me is somewhere in 1989, in March. March is always a very emotional month for me. I was living in abandoned buildings in New York City. I was shooting dope. I was using my body to survive. And I came from a long lineage of people who were addicted. And I wanted to die. And I didn't meet Laurie Quinn then, but I met people like Laurie Quinn who reached into the gutter and they pulled me out. And they showed me a new way to live. And that's who Laurie personified. That's why we're here today. Because had someone not done that to me, I would not be here today. I would not, have gone on to do the things that Assemblymember Didi generously shared with you about. Those are things that are important to me. But what's most important to me is that a day at a time, I get to do women with dignity. And I get to do what Laurie and others have taught me along the way, which is I get to live a life of meaning and purpose. I get to live a life of service. I get to help others. And I don't do it, because I don't know why some people do it. I can tell you why I do it. I do it because somebody did it for me. And I can also tell you that, I knew Laurie before I got before New York. And, I've been in recovery for a long time. And I, done some things that, I felt good about. And I had 2 daughters. And I thought I knew all that there was to know. Whenever I had that thought, there's an opportunity for growth right around the corner. But in September of 2015, my youngest overdosed. And I can tell you that as a person in recovery, having, kicked dope many, many years ago, and nothing prepares you for the avalanche of pain, excruciating pain that comes when that life-changing event happens. And Laurie, for those of you who know, Laurie has lived experience in that space as well. And Laurie grabbed onto me and she said, "You're going to get through this. And we will carry you." In my community, there's a saying, God never gives you more than you can handle. And I think that's, I won't say what I actually think it is, because we're in a room of polite people. I don't agree with that. Let's put it that way. I think we get more than we can handle all the time. But what God does give us is each other. And, I recently, I'm of Roma and Mexican American descent. For those of you who don't know what the Romas are, those are what are often called gypsies. And gypsy is not what we want to be called now. I've looked in the Holocaust is really important to me, because with the Holocaust, the Holocaust, so many people suffered during the Holocaust. Jews and, of course, my folk, Roma, and Catholics, and union workers, teachers, anyone who had a brain and a heart was a target of the Third Reich. And I see some chilling echoes. I used to teach at Gunner Nose, because I taught at the high school that he went to. I taught history, and I used to say to my students, if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it. And there's some very chilling things right now that scare me. It scared me. So I was watching, I read first the book, The Tattooist of Auschwitz. If you haven't read that book, highly recommend it. There's a beautiful line and then I saw this series. There's a beautiful line in that book when these 2 people who met in hell in the most hellacious, unbelievable circumstances fell in love, and they held on to each other through this, and they both survived. But at one point, one of the tattooist loses hope, and he says, I don't, where's God? And his future wife says to him, she says, God can't help us, but we can help God. We can love each other in this space, and we can help each other. And that's what Laurie did in the midst of, an overdose epidemic, and for countless people who were in hell, living waiting at 3 o'clock in the morning for news as to whether or not their loved one was going to make it or not. And she was a lifeline to many people. And where God seemed to be absent, Laurie was there. And so I just want to say thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Laurie. And thank you to those of you in this room that are a lifeline to others. In a time that's dark for a lot of folks. I'm a member of the queer community. It's a scary time for us. Really scary. But we have lifelines, and as a person in recovery, I know that a day at a time, I get to be a channel of God's peace. Thank you.
Great times, it's true, and the more opportunities that we can be together with like-minded people who have share values and that we can support each other, the better off we are, and that gives us the strength to continue fighting for the things that are important. And let me just give my pitch. Don't ever miss an opportunity to vote. That is the way to make change happen. So thank you, Stephanie. Really appreciate you being here and your thoughtful words and being part of this community. Sorry, I'm not sure what this is, but it's got dear. So now I'm delighted to introduce Ben Deeb, who's a friend and colleague to Laurie, and someone that Laurie helped through his own recovery. I'm going to make it easier on myself and put my glasses on. So Ben is a quad-certified peer professional that is justice impacted. He devoted 8 years in the field, returning to justice environments, instituting systems changes, enhancing services, and changing the culture by delivering and training others to deliver peer recovery services to justice-impacted individuals. Ben has worked with Healing Springs and the Saratoga County Correctional Facility to build a best practice MAT program, recovery unit, and reentry program. Additionally, he has worked as an SME with the New York CB to develop a criminal justice supported recovery professional national certification and develop the 20-hour foundational training that's known as Peer Professionals in Correctional Justice Settings. Ben has spoken at many conferences, including All Rise in 2025, Integrated Care Conference, ASAP Conference, the Education and Corrections Conference, lots of different conferences, and he's here just to talk to us today about his friendship with Laurie and the importance of her role in the recovery movement. Thank you, Ben.
I'm so happy to be here to honor Laurie. I met Laurie in 2018, 14 months in recovery, 6 months out of a correctional facility, seeking training to return to the corrections environment. I knew far too well after, doing 10 years in prison and jails myself, how broken that system was, how hard it was to have a voice and how hard it was to get connected. I'll tell you, it was mentioned earlier that Laurie was training peer professionals, and I don't think that really showed you the magnitude of what she did there. There's thousands, probably, of me in the field, connecting with people and touching lives, helping to walk with and empower individuals to reclaim their lives, building programs like I built, so that people have opportunity and a voice. I love the pin, Carl, love them anyway. I do remember Laurie saying that often, especially around her harm reduction work, that no matter what someone's doing in their current state, let's love them anyway, and be the love for them until they can love themselves. I remember my first day of that training academy. Laurie and Courtney Lavelle were there, and I had all this fire and very little couth, I guess you could say. I was still rough around the edges, and Laurie saw in me potential that I did not see in myself at a time where I lacked confidence and know-how to get in place the things that I was looking to institute. For the next few years, Laurie became a constant source of information, love, and encouragement for me. We worked together on many projects, and became friends. I think about Laurie often. My wife Martina has a picture of her on her desk at her office. She is one of few people that I could look to guide me on how to achieve the things I was trying to do. She helped center me. She cultivated professionalism, helped me change my language, my presentation, the way that I frame things. Laurie and I were talking not a week before Laurie passed about this national certification and the training I was trying to develop. I had no idea how to get it where I needed it to be to launch the program. She was always the first person to help someone. She was always the first person to volunteer for something. She was always the first person to hug you when you walked into a room because she just knew something was wrong. I can't say enough good things about the impact she's had, and I wish I had a stream of individuals behind me that could show how their lives have changed because they met and ultimately loved Laurie. The impact that she's had on communities across the state, and farther and beyond, you couldn't quantify. So I really just wanted to catch the essence here of the fact that Laurie loved me no matter what, and that she was always one of the first people I called when I was struggling, when I had imposter syndrome, when I had a question about how to do something appropriately or correctly. That was definitely a time in my life where being human and appropriate wasn't necessarily my go-to. So I credit a lot of my professional development to her. A lot of the programs, when I speak at conferences, I generally will mention Laurie and the things that she had done and the training she had developed to help produce ethical, educated peer professionals to go out into the world and touch lives. So thank you very much for all.
Like this that we do is that you really can feel all the other lives that people like Laurie have touched and been part of, even if they're not here physically in the room with us right now. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Michael Demerly, Laurie's son, youngest son. He identifies as a person in recovery. He lived in Florida for a year during his treatment journey, Syracuse for many years, and returned to Chatham in 2020. Laurie helped Michael into recovery and helped keep him out of trouble. Michael recently celebrated his birthday and has been enjoying abstinence from opiates for the past 6 years, thank you. And the next 60 years. Michael, please come on.
60.
60.
Good.
You are.
I'm doing all right.
You got 60 ahead of you.
Thank you. I'm going to break the chain here and read from my pieces of paper. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for being here and to thank my stepfather, Carl Quinn, and Didi for the opportunity to speak today. The challenge when writing something like this is to be concise. In other words, there's a lot to be said about my mother's character. So let's get right into it. First off, if you managed to get under her skin like I did, and also a few people sitting in this room, she wasn't shy about using a sharp tongue, but mainly when necessary. By default, my mother was a charismatic, compassionate, and community-focused person. She was way cooler than I am. In regards to her helping me into recovery, she had a near limitless supply of perseverance. For example, threatening to come kidnap me when I was unresponsive. Can you guys hear me? That's all right, I can do it. Anyways, on with the show. When I was unresponsive and living in my car on the streets of Syracuse, I was one tough cookie to deal with. And yet, I was still met with love, compassion, and a helping hand. Between her and Carl, she pulled some strings to get me into a crisis center in Poughkeepsie, then directly into St. Christopher's Inn, a homeless shelter and recovery center for men. From there, I saw my parents for a couple of hours, and I was on a plane to Florida. It was as seamless as some sort of diabolical Travelocity package. But instead of vacation, you're desperately trying to turn your freaking life around. The really crazy thing is, after the battle of getting my brother and I straightened out, she kept coming back for more, and continued to do the same for others. She was great at it. To wrap this up, I'd like to give you all some corny advice, which seems to have become my thing at the end of these speeches. What I'd like to say is life is short. Don't waste too much time being upset with others. Say yes to opportunity more often, and show compassion even when you may think others don't deserve it. I think you will be pleasantly surprised. I'd also just like to shout out real quick, I know this is about my mom, but Carol Bryce, who, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so she was a lovely, strong woman. Thank you.
We have a new mic here. I don't know whether we need it or not. Maybe I don't think we really need it, right?
There's a hearing loop though, so somebody has hearing aids.
What's that?
Does it have a hearing loop, so somebody has hearing aids?
Okay.
You know, is that easy?
Next, I would like to introduce Carl Quinn. Carl has been a staunch supporter of fighting for the underdog and meeting people where they are. Carl has a proven track record of community involvement, having co-founded our Community Cares in 2013. I remember being at those early meetings with you there. He co-founded Columbia County Pathways to Recovery in 2016, and in 2025 assisted with the creation of the Christopher Kinney Memorial Foundation. In 2015 and 16, Carl was voted Columbia County Volunteer of the Year at the Columbia County Chamber of Commerce in Hudson Valley 360 Best of Columbia County competition. And I would argue to say you continue to be that even past those years. His current work focuses on mental health, justice-impacted individuals, addiction treatment, and recovery as the resource coordinator for Hudson City Behavioral Health Treatment Court. The role he will always be most proud of was to be Laurie's husband and partner for 24 amazing years, and a dad to Laurie's sons, Eric and Michael. Carl, please join us.
I'm going to try and read from my paper. Thank you, everybody. I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Didi for arranging today her tireless work in our district, but most of all honoring Laurie in celebration of Women's History Month. Your leadership in organizing this meaningful event not only recognizes Laurie's remarkable contributions, but also brings together our community in a truly special way. So thank you, I appreciate it. I'm grateful for the opportunity to join in this celebration and to hear the insightful remarks from Stephanie, Ben, and Michael, who spoke so eloquently about Laurie's life and legacy. Their words painted a picture of Laurie's impact and the lasting difference she has made. Thank you again for your dedication and for bringing us together to honor such inspiring women. Laurie and I first met in 1997, embarking on a journey together that led to our marriage in 2000. Over the years, we faced immense challenges of supporting both our sons, as both struggled with substance use disorder. Witnessing our sons' battles with addiction was deeply painful, yet it transformed our lives, compelling us to learn, to grow, and to ultimately become more knowledgeable and compassionate advocates for others. Through perseverance and love, we found new ways to help Michael and Eric seek the support they needed, and our family's journey became one of resilience and hope as we navigated the change together. In the early days of Michael and Eric's struggles, Laurie and I often felt overwhelmed and unsure of how to best support our sons. Uncertainty and frustration sometimes gave way to anger, especially as we worried about what our friends, neighbors, and clients might think, given our visibility in the community through our community work and owning our own computer technology business. Despite these challenges, Laurie was determined not to let fear, uncertainty, shame, or stigma hold our family back. She took it upon herself to learn more, reach out for support, and explore new approaches to help our family. Laurie's courage and persistence inspired me to open up as well, and together we became a stronger, more supportive team committed to guiding Michael and Eric through their recovery journey with compassion and hope instead of anger and fear. Laurie became the person who educated not only me, but also our family, friends, and the greater community about the struggles of addiction and substance use disorder. She co-founded Columbia County Pathways to Recovery, and alongside her good friend Courtney Lavelle, created their own company, Our Wellness Collective, where they were dedicated to training and educating individuals and doing outreach. As Ben pointed out, there are probably thousands of people who have taken Laurie's training with Laurie and Courtney over the years, who are out there right now, people on the front lines doing the work of trying to help others. Laurie's tireless efforts led to families attending a weekly support group that she started. Originally was in person, and then unfortunately COVID hit. And so within a matter of hours, Laurie had an online platform set up. She had outreach to people, and her meeting moved to a virtual every Tuesday night. We tried to keep the dogs quiet in the house while Laurie was doing all of her online weekly support group stuff. But and there were people who stepped up after Laurie passed away to continue that. And we're very thankful that group was able to help so many other people. Along the way, as Laurie helped families navigate the challenges of addiction, she always was clear about one essential truth. The journey would be filled with difficult moments, times of anger, sadness, resentment, and confronting situations no one ever expects to face. She never sugarcoated the reality that loving someone through addiction is hard, but she always emphasized that at the end of the day, the most important thing we can do is love them anyway. That their lives mattered, and she championed that idea throughout her work. No matter how tough things became, Laurie reminded everyone that her loved ones are still our family. Our sons and daughters, moms and dads, aunts and uncles, they're our family first, before anything else. And their love remains at the core of the relationship. In short, we always remember to love them anyway. We carry Laurie's message with us, even when those we care about are struggling. It is not just acceptable, but necessary. That's why each of you had on your seat today a pin that says love them anyway. So a little about that pin. The L in the logo is actually from Laurie's signature. We were able to capture that off of some work that she had done and make that the symbol that's inside the pink circle. We'd hope that you'll take it as a reminder to continue sharing Laurie's message to love others anyway, regardless of mistakes, harm, or pain, while they find their path. In honoring Laurie, let us all commit to carrying forward the message that love endures even in the hardest times. It is because of Laurie's education, advocacy, and training that so many people in our community found help, hope, and healing. An incredible legacy that will always be remembered. There are people alive today thanks to Laurie's commitment to working with families and individuals. God, turn the page. Facing challenges. While Laurie's life was tragically cut short in ways we could have never imagined, she gave the ultimate gift by becoming an organ donor, offering life to others even in her passing. We're deeply grateful to celebrate Laurie's life, honor all that she accomplished, and remember the truly wonderful people and person that she was. Thank you all for being here today and supporting us and helping us keep Laurie's legacy alive. Thanks.
Else who would like to share a thought, a memory?
Well, I did not come with the intent of saying anything, but it just so happens that I am a member of Rotary, and Laurie was a member of Rotary. And I got to know her through the Rotary Youth Exchange program when she became very close to some of our inbound students. And let me just briefly explain that Rotary clubs sponsor young adults, high school students, to go abroad for a year and study in another country, living with other families and attending school there. And we bring students from other countries into our communities to attend school and represent their countries and live with families here. Laurie, regardless of who the host family was, Laurie was a second host mom. She loved these kids, and just as everyone described how she saw the potential within people who didn't even see it within themselves, and was able to help them to live up to their potential. She did the same thing with these Rotary Youth Exchange students. And there are those who still are in touch with us, who were here years ago, but whose memories are intensely personal and who are grateful for having known Laurie Quinn and having had her mentor them and encourage them from being children to young adults to contributing members of the community. And that is a magic gift that she had, regardless of who she was working with or talking to be able to see the potential within each individual, help them to realize that they could do more than they thought they could do. They could be more than they thought they could be. And it was a wonderful gift that she shared with us all.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Rebecca, and Laurie was not only a fellow Rotarian, but a very good friend. And I felt it was only in respect for her to say something, to bring a little humor, because Laurie was very funny, and she could be very serious when it came to the recovery community, and I respect her because she helped with a family member of mine that was suffering from substance use disorder. And I really feel like we've talked about that enough right now, and we also want to talk about Cards Against Humanity, because for those of you that really know Laurie and the fun side of her, she was funny. She made me do arts and crafts when I absolutely hated arts and crafts, and she made me laugh a lot, and that's what I take away from Laurie, is that she really was able for me to open up and say words that I really wasn't comfortable in saying. And so,
We have pictures of that.
and there is proof. There is proof. There are videos. I just want to say that she was loved by many, and I really, really miss her very, very much. So.
Hi. Margaret Peduzzi, I was a friend, lucky enough to be a friend of Carl and Laurie's. They helped me through a lot of computer problems. And speaking of Rotary, Laurie had a way of getting you involved, even if you weren't involved with the particular group. She got me into the haunted house when they were happening. And I see my partner in chainsaw over there, Scott. She talked me into it, and I was the crazy chainsaw lady. And Laurie, by the way, I want you to know, I've joined Rotary now. She also was on the board of directors for Chatham Rescue Squad. I've been in Chatham Rescue. And I don't think it was too long after she joined the board that there was a particularly nasty accident out in Auschwitz, out on Route 22, and took quite a bit of mutual aid and fire company and everything. And Laurie posted about it, and she, praising all of the people that had come and worked and everything. And she said, I saw that, I don't remember the exact words, it was the extent of, I saw so many people, so many agencies that didn't have connection with each other before this day, and watched what they did, and she said, I am proud to be part of this organization. And Laurie, we were proud to have you with us.
Please feel free to stay and share memories to Michael and Carl and just enjoy each other. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you all.
Took my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Take my love, take it down. Climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, where the landslide bring it down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, a landslide bring it down.